Okay, y'all, so I'm gonna actually be showing y'all the course of me growing my watermelons. I have photos from whenever they were smaller, but now that they've gotten bigger and we've started to get fruit on some of the vines, they're very small. I'll show you one in particular, what we're gonna do. When you grow watermelons, something you wanna do, because when they form, I have a photo I'm gonna show you of this one from 24 hours previously. And honestly, I'm not even gonna say a whole 24 hours, about 12 hours ago when I was out here last, how this particular watermelon right here came out. And you see how it naturally turned and went towards the ground. As of right now, it still has that piece of the flower portion, the stem portion of the end down there where it came from the flower. It still has that piece on the bottom of the melon, so it's fine. But as this melon gets bigger, it will begin to rest on the ground. So when you have melons that rest on the ground, what can happen throughout watering and whatnot, your melons can rot. You don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to use today, since this is what I have to use, I'm going to use some black plastic to place up under here for it to grow down onto. Now I'll be doing this again because it looks like we may have another one coming here, which my likes and hopes for is for it to grow back the opposite way, back that way. So what we're gonna do now is go ahead and put a small piece of black plastic down up under it for it to thrive upon. And the black plastic I'm using, it ain't nothing extravagant. Piece of black trash bag. And for now, I'm only gonna do a small space. Make this as quick as possible, because I doubt I'm gonna do a time lapse inside of the video until I do the last video. Then that'll be a time lapse with photos and maybe some videos as well of the entire process, because I'm showing you the ones that I took the additional suckers, which I'll show you another sucker that's getting ready to form fruit. So this piece of black plastic, I only want to sit it about there, just like that. And that's just so that my melon has something to grow on without me having to worry about it rotting out before I have the opportunity to harvest it once it's big enough. Now today's date is what is it, July 18th, I believe. I planted these seed in the ground June 16th, excuse me. I'll tell y'all the story later about what happened to the first 2 watermelon vines that I planted. They never made it to vine, so that's a funny story. And I'll show y'all what was the outcome of that as well. So, in the process of getting ready to show y'all the sucker, oh look, we have some pollination going on. All we can do is show gratitude. It's over there pollinating our cantaloupe too. So check me out. So this right here is actually another sucker that you see is beginning to sprout fruit from it. I had a leaf here, but excuse me, let me put it here. I had a leaf here, as you can see, but what I did was I pruned it. But I did not take the sucker out because I started pruning the leaves back. One, because I wanted the energy to focus into the main vine that we see running over there where I placed the black plastic at for that first melon. Now I'm also going to go ahead and prune and take this leaf right here because I don't need any more focus into that. Plus, the other reason I'm taking this leaf is because you see I have another vine here. I have another vine here that runs out like that. I'm going to take the leaf from here as I'm pruning here, and I'm taking it here. Now when you prune, my bad, I had to watch for the little buggo. But when you prune, you want to do this when your plant is dry, and you also want to do this with garden shears. I'm using my nail. I love the fact that I'm actually getting to catch the pollinators out here at the same time I'm doing this. Boom. That was a clean break. Typically, that's what I wanted to happen over here, but it just didn't happen that way. So, what I like to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull these really quick because I do like to keep it pretty clean and whatnot around the vine. And I'll start to bury it a little more. But when I take these out, I don't take them all the way out the bed. I still lay them back down. I got a little basil right here. That was something I was running for pest protection, to keep certain things out of the garden that doesn't like it. And as you can see, I actually have a vine that is running out of the garden as well. But that's fine because I wanted to try trellising. So I'm going to trellis this particular vine and see how I do with growing melons up the vine as well. Because I'm also doing this to where I can show you guys who live in apartments, even though I'm going in line, or in ground rather, who live in apartments. Whenever I take this one and I trellis this up, if you get a big enough bucket, you can actually still grow these things on your balcony, or put you a raised bed on your balcony or your patio and whatnot, and you can still grow these particular things if you want to do container gardening. The purpose of it is to help you grow vertically, because when you don't have the space or the land horizontally, vertical growing is still an option. But back to the topic at hand. The reason I took these leaves from here and here, as you see, I have two vines that's growing pretty close right here. Now, you typically would space out your melons a bit more. I built my own little mound here to start them out from. Initially, I was going to transplant and move them out, but I said nope, I'm going to utilize the space that I have and allow them to grow around and interweave throughout the garden. That's why you see my pepper plants, I have taken up some of the bottom leaves, and I'm going to do the same once this one right here gets a bit taller. My tomato plant, you can see I've taken up the leaves. When the tomato plant gets a little bit taller, I'm going to take that bottom leaf there. Same is going to go for this tomato plant over here. The purpose is because I'm going to let my watermelon vines, since they grow low to the ground, be pretty much the ground cover. All right, and that right there, I'll explain when I explain the first couple watermelon vines. All right, another thing. So I took these leaves because I wanted to make sure that these plants right here have adequate airflow between the two of them and their leaves. So when they get watered, they get wet, they don't have the opportunity to cause bacteria breeding because they're covering each other. It's too much heat. It's not enough space for the for drying to occur. Another thing would be just proper airflow in general. So I didn't take this sucker and it started to I didn't take that sucker and it started to sprout this way. We're gonna leave it. We have fruit coming on it. it is what it is. This is just gonna, we're just gonna have that main vine and one running off from it. Now right here, we have another main vine that has 2 suckers on it. This sucker right here is just about ready to start flowering and whatnot. So I'm just gonna have to leave it. I don't have to, I could take it off. See, there is the, and that's how those suckers grow for those who don't know. This is the main vine running that way. This is the leaf, and the suckers usually come right there in between in that joint. That's a sucker. Here's another one over here, just like that. This one right here. This main vine has 2 suckers coming off of it. Now I have an option right now, so where I am actually going to go ahead and prune this back some, because as you see, we have another vine right here that I've started to bury down in the ground because I wanted to catch root. And that was a piece of watermelon that I put back down in the ground from where I was eating watermelon yesterday. Yes, it's good to feed your plants in a many of ways. So from here, I'm gonna, and again, it's all about the airflow that I want to allow through. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna take this sucker. That's the sucker I just took up. And what I'm even gonna go as far to do is I'm going to root it as well. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna do this one the same way I did the ones yesterday, and I'll show you me doing that at a separate time. Boom, boom. I'm gonna take this leaf right here as well. That's all we want to do, is give it room to breathe and grow and flourish. Now, that right in there, I'm cool, because I also, the same way whenever you're pruning and you take those leaves, what you're also doing when you take those leaves is making way for the sun to be able to get to these things. Now, as they get bigger, and you know, because I'm going to run them up under these different plants, taller growing plants, yeah, you'll start thinking about shading and whatnot, but I have some general ideas of what I'm gonna do, and we're gonna run this together. This is my first year growing watermelons, but I ain't new to this as far as making some shit grow. We have another one coming right here. We're gonna leave that alone. And the only reason you want to put these back in, we just giving it nutrients back. Let it break down into the garden. Get it earth back, its own stuff. Now, if I really want to keep this sucker here, I actually want to just take that and give that to somebody. Let someone else have it to grow. I might see if my cousin want to add another watermelon to his garden. So yeah. Let's go over here and look at these others. The suckers we took yesterday. Alright. So these right here, feeling it, still has some firmness and sturdiness in it. The leaves are a little wilty like. We're gonna throw some rainwater on it in a few. But the key here is time. Just giving it time. But it still feels nice and sturdy. The plant itself, even though it's leaning down, that's what's gonna happen whenever you're propagating. Same thing, your stem still feels pretty good. This still feels nice. The leaves still feel, I'm not gonna say moist, but they aren't what you call dry either. This is another one that we may go ahead and throw down. Matter of fact, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you in a different video how you go about this with cutting it on the angle and dipping it with the root powder and whatnot.